Okay. Thank you all for coming to the first presentation for the 2020 Chester County Single Mothers Conference. As you know, due to COVID-19, we have moved to a virtual platform for this year's program. So we want to thank you for joining us online and thank our first presenter, Ms. Jamelah Henry. We wish to thank our title sponsor, Benchmark Federal Credit Union, for being so supportive of the conference and supporting single mothers. They will be having a credit clinic next Saturday on April 25th, so please look forward to that. We want to make you aware of the chat feature in Zoom. We will be accepting questions, so if you have a question for Jamelah, please message it to Jamelah directly. Please select her name in the drop-down box. Lastly, we want to remind everyone that we have a social media scavenger hunt. If you'd like to participate, you can find the list of items you need to find on our Facebook page. So be sure to check it out after the presentation and enter to win a fabulous prize. Thank you again for coming, and take it away, Jamelah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamelah Henry, and I will be your presenter today. Thank you for joining in on the presentation titled Life Interrupted, Now What? So I'm just going to give a brief intro about myself before I go into the actual presentation. So right now, my current profession is an HR recruiter. I've been a recruiter for the past 3 years. I'm also a career coach, which I've been doing for the past 4 years. And then also I have experience as a career skills trainer, which I have experience of about 10 years. So the reason for this presentation is quite evident. A lot of people are going through layoffs, being furloughed. A lot of businesses are losing income due to COVID-19. So this presentation basically is just to give you tips on what you can do to navigate through this process and to get yourself back into the game when things do go back to normal. So one reminder that I do want to mention to everyone is you are on mute, and also due to privacy reasons, if you could not put the video on the presentation while the presentation is on. And then also right now you can submit comments throughout the presentation, and everyone will be able to see your comments. It's just the questions that will be private. So I am going to move forward and talk to you about life interrupted. So what are some things that a lot of people are going through right now? One is some people are being furloughed, and being furloughed pretty much is an alternative to layoff. So you may have your hours cut at this time. You're not necessarily out of a job, but you just have less hours. So non-exempt employees, people who are usually paid on an hourly basis, are usually the ones who are typically impacted the most. So if you're working at a company and only some people are furloughed and some are not, it may be because those people are salary workers. So if their hours are cut, the employer still will have to pay those individuals the salary that they presently have. So most of the time, employers go to non-exempt employees first when it comes to cutting back on hours, because that they are able to save money in the long run during a crisis. So some people may be in a position of being furloughed, and it's impacting you tremendously because you're losing income. Then there are people who may be laid off. It's a temporary separation. It's possible that when work does become available, employers are able to hire again, then it's a possibility that you will be called back into work. So a layoff could be where the employer may say, hey, we don't have any work now, but when things change, I can give you a call and see where we stand, and they may invite you to come back to work. So that's what a layoff is. Then there's what you call reduction in force. Now, many people or many employers call a layoff actual reduction in force. So reduction in force pretty much is the job is eliminated by the employer, and they have no intentions on replacing that position or have no intentions on giving you a call. So a reduction in force is also called a RIF, and a layoff could become a RIF once again, if the employer does not call. So most people out of the millions of Americans that's been impacted probably fall into one of those areas. And then of course we have people who are self-employed business owners who also may be suffering at a time like this. So what can you do? Like, life is interrupted. And what are some resources that can help you with getting the income that you need to be able to survive at a time like this? So if you have not done so already, you may qualify for unemployment benefits. I would advise you to reach out to your local Department of Labor for determination. One of the things that a lot of people are struggling with right now is you're not able to get in contact with anyone at the Department of Labor. You call and the lines are busy. A lot of people are complaining that they're sending emails and they're not able to get a response back. Last I heard, for the Pennsylvania Department of Labor, they had 9,000 emails in one day. So the response time of the Department of Labor getting back is not as quick as it used to be, because there are so many people in the same position. So if you have not heard, there is a CARES Act that was just passed a few weeks ago for people who are on unemployment. And you may qualify to receive an additional $600 per week from March 29th all the way up until July 31st. So let's say, for example, you are approved for $180 a week for your unemployment. Now with the Federal CARES Act, each week, instead of getting $180, you will get $780. So this is something that the government is putting in place for people who may be struggling right now. One of the main reasons why they're giving you an extra $600, because most jobs are not hiring. Most jobs are hiring at a slow scale. There are employers that are hiring, especially for positions that are on the front line. And then there's positions like at Amazon that you could do by phone. But sometimes those jobs may not be available to you right away. So the government knows that. They know that it's a slow hiring with companies, and a lot of companies can't afford to even hire people right now. So that additional $600 per week is being put into place for people to be able to survive during times like this. Also, people who are self-employed, independent contractors, and gig workers. Unemployment benefits are available for individuals who fall in these categories. The problem is the people who are unemployed from being laid off or furloughed from their employer are receiving the funds first. So a lot of people who fall in these categories right now are frustrated because they pretty much have no income. They're not able to go out and work, and wherever their field of expertise, they're not able to jobs. And as a result, a lot of these people have no income. So unemployment benefits are available to these individuals, but it's coming at a slower pace than individuals who are laid off or furloughed. And then also, let's say you were placed on unemployment way before COVID-19 started, and your benefits are exhausted. And let's say you were set to expire for April. April was your last time you were supposed to receive benefits. Due to what's going on currently, additional weeks will be added on for you to be able to take advantage of the unemployment. And then also you will still be able to receive the $600. So the $600 does not just go to anyone who is impacted by COVID-19. It actually goes to anyone who is on unemployment, because even whether you were impacted by COVID-19 or not, still the likelihood of you being able to go out and find a job in a time like this is very low. So they understand that also that you will need that additional money too. So if you are on unemployment and it's soon to expire, you are eligible for an extension. Once you are approved, it's very important that you call in your biweekly claim. And then for Delaware, it's a weekly claim that you would call in. Failure to do so will result in a delay of funds. So it's very important that each week you put a reminder on your phone to call in to have your unemployment. If you don't call in once a week or once every 2 weeks, then you won't receive your funds for that week. So it's very important that you do that. So your life has been interrupted. You may have fallen in any of the categories that I already mentioned. And at this time, you're home, you have your kids there, and you're out of work or your hours are cut, and you're like, now what do I do? What can I do to help me position myself for a better opportunity maybe, or be able to increase my hours, or maybe be able to change my job field when this is all over? What should I be doing now? And one of the first things I would definitely recommend for you to do is to update your resume. Some people have been working at the same job for years and your resume is outdated. You may not even have your current employer on your resume. So it's very important that you update your resume. And some things that you want to make sure that you're looking out for is, one, of course, you want to update the resume with your current employer or your last employer. And then you want to make sure that it's not outdated, and where you have jobs on there from 20, 25 years ago. It should be the last 10, maybe 12 years of jobs on your resume. You want to make sure that it's professional. The format is not outdated. So definitely look to someone who is a professional in this field. Have someone overlook your resume to make sure that it is suitable for you to present when it is time to start submitting your resumes online. So one of the keys is professionalism. You want to have a professional resume, because right now with the market, once things do go back, employers are not going to hire 100%. They're going to do it in increments. So your resume is what can get you into the door in that first batch of people who are looking to get back to work and employers are starting to hire. Another thing I would suggest is to create and or update your LinkedIn profile right now. So LinkedIn, for anyone who may not be familiar with LinkedIn, is pretty much a social media network where professionals are on, and people, white collar, blue collar, for any type of industry. Most people go to LinkedIn for either networking, or they even go there to hang out with recruiters. That's the hangout. I call it the hangout spot for recruiters. When I'm on LinkedIn, a lot of time is because I'm looking for someone to fill a position. And most of the time when I fill a position and I go on LinkedIn, I'm looking at profiles and I'm looking to see if a person will be a good match for a job that I may have available. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, your chances of being viewed by recruiters is way higher than someone who does not have a LinkedIn profile. So if you have one, then this will be a good time for you to update it, make it more relevant to what your current status is. If you do not have one, I would suggest that you create one. And I do have a free upcoming webinar where I will talk to you about the importance of LinkedIn and how you can get started with a profile. So I will discuss that later on in the presentation. Another thing I would suggest for you to do right now is for you to connect to employers and job groups on social media. So for example, I follow the Pennsylvania Department of Labor. I follow the Delaware Department of Labor. I follow a lot of job groups, a lot of career groups, because I want to know what's going on. What are the latest trends? What are people talking about? Even though I am a career coach, I still want to be in the midst of what's going on. So that way, when I'm talking to clients, I can update them on what the latest information is. So you want to do that too. You want to be able to join job groups. If you go into Facebook or if you go on Twitter, you can just put in job groups or career groups and a list will come up, and I would just join those groups or follow those pages. So that way you can get insight on the latest trends. If there are employers that you know for sure that you would like to work for, I would follow those employers also on LinkedIn, because a lot of times employers put job postings on their sites. So you want to be able to go to those sites to be able to see what the employers are currently hiring at, and when they are hiring, you will be able to be the first to know, and then you can apply for those jobs. This one is, and actually I'm gonna go back to the LinkedIn because I just wanna share a quick story. I had a client probably a few months ago who did not have a LinkedIn profile. She really didn't even understand that much about LinkedIn, but I suggested to her to set up a LinkedIn profile and we could go from there. So I helped her with setting up the LinkedIn profile. We worked on her picture for her profile picture. And then also we worked, I showed her how to find jobs within LinkedIn and also how to stand out to recruiters. This person went in, found a list of jobs. She was able to find one job that she was really interested in, because her whole goal was, she did have a job at the time, but she wanted to make more money. So she filled out an application on a Saturday, The employer called her back on Tuesday for a phone interview. She had the phone interview Thursday, and then that following week she had an on-site interview, and she was able to get the job, and she was able to double her income. So she wanted to be able to find a job with more money, and she did that all just by creating a LinkedIn profile. So that the importance of LinkedIn is a very powerful tool, and it can also relieve a lot of stress when it comes to your job search. All right, so back to learning at least one new skill. So learning new skills during a time like this is crucial, because once things do go back to normal, employers are, believe it or not, they're going to want to know, okay, while you were out of work, what have you been doing? Have you invested into yourself? Yes, we are in the middle of a crisis. Yes, sometimes you don't want to work. You've been working all your life, and you probably say, okay, this is my relaxed moment. And that could be, it depends on where you are in your life. You could take this time and relax, and take this time to relax and not take advantage of any new skills. For myself, I highly suggest that you learn at least one. A few years back, I was out of work. I was working as a career skills trainer, and I was laid off for that job, my corporate job. And I was on unemployment, and my unemployment ran out. And now I had zero income. And I wanted to become an HR recruiter, but I had no experience. So I went onto a website called Allison Courses, and it's spelled ALISON Courses. If you Google it, you'll see it. It's a free database that has millions, or I would say thousands, of different trainings that you can take advantage of, and it's free. So what I did is I went in and I took advantage of all the HR recruiting type of certifications. Once you go through the training, they test you at the end, and depending on where you score at, then they'll give you a certification for that test. Now I believe you have to pay for the certifications in order to print it out, but back then it was free. So I took advantage of all the trainings. I also took advantage of Excel, Microsoft Excel. I had some experience, but I wasn't advanced in it. So I used that downtime to take advantage of the Microsoft Excel training, and I was able to pass both and get the certifications for both an HR recruiter and an Excel training. Then I took that information and I updated it to my profile on LinkedIn, and then I also updated it to my resume. And then I started applying for recruiter jobs. Once I started applying, I was not getting any callbacks. Some cases I did get callbacks, but I didn't have enough experience. I could have stopped there, but I kept going. And then I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm looking at your profile, and it seems like you got a pretty good background in HR. I know you don't have any recruiter experience. However, my job is hiring, and I think you would be a good fit. And the person told me about the HR recruiter position. She said, I want to connect you to my manager. I went into the interview 2 days later. It was on my birthday, and I sat down with the manager, and I pretty much sold myself. I told her I don't have HR experience, but I don't have HR experience, but I have customer service experience. And I started letting her know how the things that I've done in the past could help me in the role as an HR recruiter. And then she also saw on my resume that I had the skills and took advantage of HR training and recruiting training and took advantage of Excel. And she gave me a chance, and I was hired on the spot that day. And that was how I got started in working as an HR recruiter. And the reason for that is, one, I had a LinkedIn profile. I updated my LinkedIn profile, so I was accessible to that person. Two, I learned a new skill. If I did not take advantage of Allison Courses, I would not have been a successful HR recruiter, because everything that I learned during that time when I was out of work, once I started working as an HR recruiter, I had to use those skill sets. I had to rely on them, especially the Excel training, because I had to make Excel sheets for managers. So taking advantage of learning a new skill is crucial, I believe, in a time like this. And then also I would mention to practice virtual interviewing skills. YouTube, you can go on. I really believe that once we've went virtual interviews has been around for quite a long time, but not many people have been using it and taking advantage of it. Since COVID-19, employers have no choice now but to use virtual technology when they are interviewing and things like that. So I really believe that this is going to be a new way of doing things, and you are going to see this more. When I, as working as an HR recruiter, a lot of people who are in different states, the manager pays money for those people to come on site and interview. I really believe that now that managers are being forced to use virtual interviewing, that is going to be the go-to now. Instead of bringing people on site, let me see how this person is online. So you want to practice not just on-site interview skills, but virtual interviewing skills also. And then just a FYI, Wings for Success and Fraser and Kennett Square are taking clients on a limited basis, and they're helping you with choosing different outfits, and they're also enabling curbside pickup. So they will also show you what type of accessories to wear, what type of shirt to wear, how to do your hair and your makeup when you are doing virtual interviewing. So that's a great resource for you to use also to help you in a time like this. And then also is you want to turn your hobby, your gift into a side income. I see a lot of people doing this now, making 3D masks, making cloth masks. I know someone who is out of work and they were self-employed. They can't rely on unemployment because they haven't heard anything back. So they had no other choice but to figure out a way to make money. So this person went out and brought a sewing machine with the last few dollars that this person had, and they did tutorials on how to sew masks. Now this person, when 1 week they had 100 orders come through. So people are getting creative in a time like this. So if you are in a position where you have zero income, I would suggest to get creative. What are you good at? And when you find out what you're good at, use that in a form of making money. Back when I was unemployed and I was out of work, I'm a writer. I realized writing resumes was a skill set that I had. That's how I started with my company, JH Career Coaching Services. I started off writing resumes for people, and that's how I was able to supplement some of my income when I was out of work. So whatever hobby or whatever gift that you have, if you tap into that, I would definitely say use that. So now what? Now that your life has been interrupted, now that you've used the time to make things better for yourself and put yourself in a position to get yourself back in the game, what do I do once things do go back to normal? Once things start gradually getting back to how they used to be, or even better than they used to be, what do I need to do then? Well, the first thing is you want to become organized. You want to create a job search folder on your laptop or your tablet and use that job search folder for all things career related, so that you can put your resume in there. Sometimes you have to tweak your resume for different jobs. So you definitely use a job search folder and stay organized, so that way when you are starting to look for jobs, you have a go-to folder that you can use. Research employers that you are interested in. You want to view multiple job boards. The top job boards now are Indeed and LinkedIn are the top job boards that people go to look for jobs. But don't just rely on the job boards. Actually find employers you are interested in and go to their websites to see what the jobs are. Go to their social media pages. So sometimes you don't have to go to a third party. You can go directly to the source. So research employers that you're interested in and see if they're hiring. One tip I would suggest is when you do go to the employer website, look at the date that the job was published, because if it was published recently, then chances are you will have a higher chance of being able to get your resume in and maybe getting a call back. But if the job was posted probably in February and January prior to COVID-19 and the job hasn't been taken down yet, it's a very strong chance that they already have someone in mind for that position. So you may be wasting your time submitting your resume for that job. I will look for the jobs that they recently posted, because those are the jobs that you want to, those are the jobs that you want to, I'm sorry, I was looking at my chat, but those are the jobs, the positions that you definitely want to apply to first. So look at the date that the job was placed on the website. Next, I would say set a weekly goal for submitting resumes. So you want to be consistent. So if you every Monday and Thursday, submit a resume to different employers. You want to be consistent. Set up a calendar. What I used to do is I used to have a little calendar and I'll say, okay, Monday and Thursday, I'm submitting 3 resumes between 10 and 1. Another thing, when you are submitting resumes, some job boards are easy where you put in application and the resume automatically uploads. Then there are applications where you submit your resume, and when you upload it, you still have to fill out information. That is frustrating. So what you want to do is you want to log in, make an account with that employer, and then once you make an account, then you go in and you can save that resume, that application for a later time and go back in so you don't have to finish it all in 1 second. And then, of course, network, family and friends included. If you know anyone who is working, and you can ask them, hey, is your job hiring? Or if you're applying for jobs and you see a job that you're interested in, you know someone who could get you a connection, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to these individuals. Tap into your families and friends. Don't be prideful and not let anyone know that you're out of work. The more people who knows this, the higher your chances are of someone being able to help you. So definitely network with family and friends. And then also make your mental health priority. Expect disappointment. You could fill out 10 applications a week and you may not hear anything back. And you may be frustrated. It may be week 2 and you already put in 20 applications. One, it could be a red flag. It could mean that your resume is not exactly where it needs to be. But 2, it could mean that your competition is heavy right now because there are so many people applying for that exact same position. So do not become disappointed. Focus on your mental health and just keep putting yourself out there. And eventually what you invest into will come back to you. And then the last one is cut back on social media for the time being, minimal distractions. You want to make sure that you're not focusing on anyone else's life when you could use that time to invest in yourself. There's a screen. If you go to the settings on your phone, you can look at the screen settings to see how much time you use for each screen. I would definitely recommend that you see how much time that you spend on social media and try to cut that time back so that way you won't have as many distractions. And then some ways of you can stay in contact with me. I do have a Facebook group where I'm very active in. It's called Job Seekers Guide to Career Success. And this information will be up on the Chester County Single Moms website and also on the social media. And then also, I would definitely say to follow me on Instagram. My website is jhcareercoaching.com. As I mentioned, I do have a free LinkedIn Zoom webinar and Monday, April 20th, which is not tomorrow, but the next day, from 7 to 8, I will be putting up information on my Facebook group on how you can register, and I'll have that information up today. So I definitely recommend that you take advantage of this LinkedIn Zoom webinar. It will definitely put you into the position that you need to be able to have employers attracted to you versus you having to go out and spend so much time promoting yourself. And then the last thing I would want to mention is I do have a discount for single moms. Anyone who is registered with this presentation, for $50, I will do your cover letter, I will do your professional resume, and also I will send you an ebook on prep interviewing. The offer expires on Friday, May 1st. I would say just about every one of my clients who take advantage of resume services, they see a high influx of employers responding back to them when they submit their resumes online. And then my contact information is at the bottom, so you can text me if you like to speak with me one-on-one. I do free 30-minute consultations, so you can text me and let me know if you're interested, and I will send you the information. So now we are ready for our Q&A. So I am actually going to go to the chat now to see some of the questions that we have, and I will respond back. But just keep in mind that your chats are now set to private, so your questions will be directed to me. So let me go to the top. Okay, so what's the name of the site for free courses again? It's called Allison Courses. It's ALISON. And I'm actually going to type it in to everyone. Allison Courses. So you can just go to Google and type that in, and you can sign up for it, and it's a great resource. Another question is, should you have a certain kind of background for your LinkedIn photo and virtual interview? Do you need to wear professional clothing? Do you recommend signing up with temp agencies? Okay, so let me answer the first question. It says, should you have a certain kind of background for your LinkedIn photo and virtual interview? So I definitely recommend having a professional background. However, if you cannot afford a professional headshot, let me give you a tip of something that I did when I was out of work and I did not have money, but I needed to have a professional LinkedIn profile. What I did was I went and I put on a suit and I did my hair and I did my makeup, and I went online to Google to figure out how to do a headshot on a budget. And I ended up going in my bedroom and I opened up, it was a summer day, and I opened up the window and I had my teenage son, and I forgot to mention that I am a single mom too. So I didn't mention that in the intro. So I am a single mom of a 18-year-old. So I had my son at the time, he was about 15, 16. He took my picture with the iPhone, and we did it over and over and over. And then I was able to go in and edit it. And then that was how I created my background for my LinkedIn profile. And I use that to till this day. Will I invest in a professional headshot now? Most likely, but at the time I didn't have the money. So I had to figure out how to do it on my own. So if you go online and Google professional headshots on a budget, you'll get a lot of great suggestions. Another question, do you need to wear professional clothing? Absolutely, because you're doing a virtual interview, but it's still an interview. So if you do a virtual interview and you're not professional, you're wasting everyone's time, including yourself, because employers, recruiters, those are the type of things that we look out for. We're not just looking at what you are saying. We're looking at how are you presenting yourself? Are you taking the effort that you would if you were on site? So yes, it's very important that you wear professional clothing at all times. Do you recommend signing up with temp agencies? Absolutely, I do, but sometimes when you sign up with temp agencies, for some people, it's a continuous flow. That's all you're doing. And the next you know, you're 5, 10 years down the line and you haven't had a solid job. And I'm not saying that temp agencies do not provide that, but after a while, you want to go directly to the employer versus temp agencies, because sometimes you can sell yourself short by going through a temp agency, because sometimes you don't get benefits, and if you do, they're higher than they would be if you are with an employer. So if you are looking for a job right away and you don't have time to do some of the things that I talked to you about, then I would say yes, you can go to a temp agency. But temp agencies are suffering now too, because if employers aren't hiring, then the temp agency don't have anyone to send the jobs to. So during a time like this, I would recommend just taking additional steps to get yourself in a position where when things do get back to normal, you do not have to go to an agency, but you can go directly to an employer. And then technically employers pay agencies. Employers may not have that capital or have that money to be able to pay employers starting out. So there may be agencies that may not be, that have as many jobs as they did before. So I definitely recommend it, but I wouldn't make that as my first option. And so another question that came through, it says, can you get out of an agreement with a temp agency if the employer wants to hire you directly? No, you cannot. You sign a contract. So if the agency, if you sign a contract with the agency, then that's your employer. So if you try to go around that, and the employer actually takes you on, the agency actually can sue the employer. And that's not worth the hassle. So most employers will tell you, you have to go through the agency and work it out. Some agencies will buy you out, which means that the agency may say to the employer, hey, if you want to hire this person directly, you will have to pay me this amount of money. And usually that's a conversation that's had up front when they do their contract. So it is a possible, but both parties will have to be in agreement on paying this amount of money in order for you to be hired on directly with the employer. See, is there any other questions? I know we are at 11:37, so we're a little bit over. We do have the chat available until 12, so if anyone has any additional questions, you can send them through. Let me see. All right, so I do not see any other questions coming through. So I am all done. Brianna, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Yes, so thank you, Jamelah, for all the information that you shared with us today. If you still have questions, we will have a dedicated post on our Facebook page for the next 24 hours. So if you didn't get your questions answered, please leave a comment there for Jamelah. Once again, thank you to our title sponsor, Benchmark Federal Credit Union, for supporting the Single Mothers Conference. Coming up at 1 p.m., we have our Mommy and Me dance party. So grab the kids and get ready for our in-home workout on our Facebook page at facebook.com/singlemotherscc. And our DIY beauty hacks will go live on our Instagram page at 3 p.m. at instagram.com/singlemotherscc. And thank you all for coming.
All right, thank you, everyone. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, and most importantly, stay healthy. Bye.